Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Will. Have you ever wondered what it's like to lead effectively when there's uncertain times or volatile times? Well, if so, you're going to want to tune in to the rest of this episode because we're going to share a lot of practical tips that hopefully you find of use in leading during fear and uncertain times. But before we do, please make sure you subscribe, share, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform. And want to give a shout out to nickmenard.com and the 1% push. Thank you, Nick Menard, for sponsoring today's episode. Appreciate that.
You're very welcome. And hello, winners.
Hello. So, obviously there's a lot going on in the world right now, maybe a little more than normal. And regardless of where people may think about it on the political spectrum, the fact of the matter is it's causing disruption across a lot of different areas, especially in business. And so given that, we thought it might be helpful for our winners who maybe are wondering, hey, there's a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. How do we guide and navigate the ship through these choppy waters? And so we thought we'd give some tips and tricks on that. But any high-level thoughts you want to share before we go to one of our favorite segments?
FUD is real. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So that's definitely something that comes up a lot in different industry, different businesses, companies, everywhere, because they don't know if they should spend money. They don't know if they should, hold off for a while. They don't know what to do with their, depending the business you have with their employees and things like that. So it's a little bit up in the air. So the goal here is really to try to put you at ease, at peace, and understand as a leader how to handle those situations with uncertainty.
Yeah, awesome. So shall we jump into one of our favorite segments?
Yep.
You ready?
Yep.
Little
Quotes and quips.
Here we go. Let's go. All right. So here's the first one, a quote from Sun Tzu, author of The Art of War, written a long time ago. The quote is, "In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity." Thoughts on the quote?
Look at every big event that ever happened. Those that I remember, like 2008, like COVID recently, where everybody knows, like everybody's been through it. Yes, that caused a lot of damages in some aspect of it, but it's also where most new millionaire and more were born. Were happening, because if you do the right thing when you have like time like that, that's where you can get the most out of it as well. So opportunities are everywhere, regardless where you look at. You just need to look at the right place. So I love this quote because it's actually 100% the truth. Like you can always look at things negatively, but there's always a way to make it work or exceed expectation during those times.
Yeah, I agree. There was, I don't know if I mentioned this name before on our podcast, but somebody by the name of Earl Nightingale, and he founded a company called Nightingale Covenant, and they were like one of the first like positive thinking companies where they'd sell, house accessories, they had these posters and stuff. They were like, I don't know when exactly they were founded, but I think it was in the 70s. But in any event, I came across some of his tapes when I was in the direct selling business.
Okay.
And he had a quote that I really loved, and it was, every adversity has a seed of equal or greater benefit. And it's kind of like just what you're saying. Like, and there's another kind of fun fact, if you will, even though it wasn't fun for those people at the time per se, but during the period of the Great Depression in the 1930s in the United States, that decade, which was, a lot of people were suffering economically, it actually created the most millionaires per capita in the United States at any point in the history before. And it just goes to that, like when something isn't going well, there's an opportunity to get things better and to profit from it by responding to it. And it's the same for marketing, even though you see businesses all the time not follow what they preach, but they're always said, like, when when times are tough, that's when you should be spending more in marketing because it
Mhm.
shows strength. It's like, no, we're actually advertising during this time or marketing during this time, even though it's uncertain economic times and it's a show of strength. But yet you see companies all the time, they let CMOs go or
Mm,
they
yeah.
pull back on this.
And then when during COVID, we saw that in the customer success world, because of the world we are in. And when you were looking on LinkedIn or looked everywhere, like all those companies, like were letting people go. And some company like ours didn't do it and holds tight with it. Well, when the time passed and we start getting back up, we are ahead of everybody else
Yeah.
because we did the right thing during the difficult time in order to come back positively. And when what you saw is the opposite, like they fire everybody, then they hire a bunch of people with very high salary because no, they feel like, oh, we need people now. We need customer success to talk to the client. The economy is back or is getting back. And then what happened? They had to lay off again 2 years later because they realized that they were giving too much money to all those customer success, so now they cannot follow through with it. All right, it's done after. So never go 100% by the situation that you have today, because the situation you have today will not be the same a year from now if you are able to, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Preach. You have to be steadfast. And unfortunately, a lot of times decisions get made in fear
Mhm.
of the moment, but c'est la vie. All right. So here's a quip. Now, for our winners, I don't think I ever shared this, but we typically look at like Chat GTP and we say, hey, what are some quotes and quips and source them and stuff like that. The quip, this is no B. I'm going to show it on the camera. So the quip, uh, one of the quips is attributed to me. So apparently I'm on Chat GTP because there's not many people that go by the name Will Schmidt with the Will with one L. And believe it or not, they're attributing this quote to me. And I can't really remember saying it, to be honest, but
Oh, you did.
I must have, somewhere along the way, and somehow it got captured in Chat GTP because not like I'm sitting around entering stuff into Chat GTP. Like, hopefully, I get my name discovered. I never even thought about doing that, but actually, that's probably yeah, like marketing idea. Anyway, so this is attributed to Will Schmidt.
Or own.
According to Chat GTP, and yeah, well, we'll see.
It's a good one.
See what our winners think. So it goes, leading in uncertainty is a lot like riding a roller coaster. You're screaming on the inside, smiling on the outside, and praying the brakes work.
Well, I don't recall you saying that to me, but I would not be surprised because that's definitely the style of things,
I know I like
the
my
kind of thing that you would give. So, and I love it. It's true. We always go through different, feelings, emotions when you go through situation when there is uncertainty. But at the end of the day, if you do the right thing, you think positively, then the part of praying that the brakes work, well, the brakes should work.
yeah.
So you have to go, you have to live with the way things hands. But if you do the right thing during the process, you have more chance than not, then the brake will actually work.
Yeah.
So that's the way I interpret what you said, what you created.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I vaguely remember some of that stuff, but I don't know. It was just weird to see my name pop up in the Chat GTP. So there we go. If there's royalties involved, Sam, here's my address. No, I'm just
His social is 8.
yeah. Yeah, but I think for me with that, it really is like you have to uh bravery isn't like disregarding fear. Bravery is acting in spite of fear. So, like during uncertain times, of course, nobody has all the answers. Of course, things may not turn out as you hope, or it may be tougher than what you anticipate. But how many times have you watched a movie? Like, I think one of the best movies that illustrated this in my mind was The Patriot with Mel Gibson.
Mm.
When they're trying to hold the line, they're in that last battle against Britain to really try to turn the tides of the Revolutionary War. And they have all the militia up front and they're doing the charge, and all of a sudden, the British army is really decimating them, and they start to run away, and he grabs that flag. He's like, hold the line. And he charges the hill and plants waves the flag and plants it, and they turn around and come back and they end up winning the battle. That to me is the epitome of leading when times are uncertain and there's fear. You have to demonstrate strength, even if on the inside you're like, whew, hold on tight. I don't know what to expect and what's around the corner and who knows what'll happen. But if you if you succumb to the fear and the uncertainty, how is that leading people to have courage and to move forward? Yeah.
I love the analogy. I always think about mine, movies and war movies when you have people coming to I don't know the word in English, but to take care of the bomb or the mine.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
there is a, the timer in there,
Mhm.
the way that they need to stay focused of what they know, how to do it, regardless of the tick, tick, tick next to their face. Like, oh my God, I have like a minute left, 50 seconds left, 30 seconds left, but they still need to focus. They know if they do the right thing, that's a drill, they're going to get to fix it or to stop the timer on time. But of course, you have like a death threat, like literally next to your eyes. So this is something I think about also when we do that. So it's like understanding that, again, you know what you are doing. You're supposed to know what you are doing in your current role. So if you do everything right, you have to live with the consequence. And mostly then other consequences will be in your favor if you do everything correctly right, like it is. If you panic, if you change the way you handle things, there's a chance that the outcome will also not be in your favor.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it raises angst with the people you're leading, right? Because they're like, oh my gosh, they seem like they're really worried and all that. So now they're gonna have more fear and get distracted. And that's something I know you and I believe strongly about. It's like, especially it's true for all time, but especially when times are uncertain or volatile, it's like you have to focus on what you can control.
Uh-huh.
Like there's no point in worrying and doing what ifs and blah 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 blah. Just what your responsibilities are. Get after it. People are still buying in uncertain economies. People are still renewing services, investing. It just may take more, but focus on what you can control.
Well said, Will.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm so proud to be co-host of a legend.
On ChatGPT, who knew? Who knew? Yeah, and won't matter unless I get some.
Your name, when you're dead, things will come back.
I know. I should
To
probably
your-
take
to
a
your sense.
screenshot and put it on LinkedIn.
Yeah, hey, why not? That's funny though.
That is wild. That's wild.
Guys, you should have seen his face when he was looking for the quip at that time. He said, "What? What? How is that possible?" And I'm like, "What's happening?"
Yeah.
And then he showed me that. That's funny.
It's wild. I'll take it. Hey, what the heck? Why not? Why not? But yeah, I think so maybe do you have a personal example or maybe some leadership principles like when you think about leading teams through uncertain times, like what are some of the go-to things you try to focus on with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the most important, like I mentioned, don't lose track of what you were doing that works. Stay positive. If you bring stress to a stressful situations, only bad thing will happen. Reassurance as a leader, reassure what you can control. So I always said there are always things that you cannot control in any business. There's no need to worry about those things because you cannot control them. It's easier said than done, but it's really important when you have a leadership position that you explain. Communication is important in those times. So when you communicate clearly, here's the situation. So we live in a certain time currently with something that's happening in the world. Well, we cannot control that. What we can control is how can we act today in order to improve whatever business you are in for a client success role like we are. How can you improve the partnership, the relationship with your clients? How can you improve the value that they receive currently, regardless of the situations happening? That's what we have control on in order to continue to improve the chance that they need us.
Mm-hmm.
And if they need us, if they will fight to keep us, Now, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's what we have in control. So I think communicate clearly about the situation and have a listen here. So meaning you need to be active listening, showing empathy during that
Mhm.
time, because some people react differently. So you may have people in a team that are very strong minded. So those will not have difficulty during those times, but you have some people who may struggle about, oh my God, am I gonna lose my job? Am I gonna, lose my region, my territory? Well, those spend more time like listening to their concern, analyze what the real concern is, and then make sure to explain what they have control on and what we can work today, regardless of what may or may not happen, because most of the time what we fear the most is not happening.
Right.
So let's make sure that we focus on what we know, and then we go from there. And that's what we did for COVID, for example. That's the example that comes to mind now. Exactly that: communication, active listening, empathy. And I think you're going to go further by doing so, and by avoiding the stress and the uncomfortable situation we are in.
Mhm.
As a leader, you need to be confident. If you show confidence, you increase the probability that your team will just follow with the way you are.
Right. Yeah, totally agree. And I think and when you're saying it, what's going through my mind is just that it's like the confidence, it's the conviction, it's being empathetic, but it's not like you remember the Lego movie when they say what is that song? It's like everything is happy or everybody happy and the guys singing along, everything's
Be happy.
yeah, but it's like everything isn't good. And he's just like, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about like drinking the Kool-Aid
Yeah,
or anything
cheerleading.
like
Yeah.
that. Like you got to be authentic. You got to be real. But again, how people decide to spend their energy. If you're going to focus, there's a thing called locus of control, right? In psychology. And when people have an external locus of control, that means they don't feel empowered within to control their environment. They feel their environment shapes them and they're a victim of the environment. So if you have people that are exhibiting an external locus of control, as a leader, it's your job to try to illuminate a path to keep them the focus on just what you're saying, what is in their control. So, yes, you may have to do more sales calls in order to build your pipeline more than what you had to do before because clients are also uncertain. But if you come across with a solution oriented approach, if you're thinking about there's a lot of people that are probably feeling uncertain and worried. So you be the person to showcase, hey, I have something that can help navigate this path. But if you have somebody with that external locus of control and you keep feeding them that negative energy, you're just going to exponentially increase negative energy. And negative energy, a lot of times, is extremely draining.
Um,
So it's not only affecting your mindset, but it affects your productivity. And it's like, okay, so what good was that? Versus, I'm not saying, be like all sunshine and rainbows and positive and everything is happy, like the Lego thing. But it is about, hey, times may be tougher, but I can still dictate how many calls I make to clients or to prospects, or how many ways I can find different creative ways to coach people hone their skills or things like that. Focus on those things. And even if your worst fears realize, you will have much more strength of character of what you've built and how you've navigated that, that even if it meant your position in that company is now gone, what a story to tell prospective employers, or what a story to tell as you're building your business and trying to cultivate new clients. There's a lot of respect and merit that comes with that.
I love that. And what I like the most about, everything you said was spot on. What I like the most is about the fact that your clients are going through the same.
Mhm.
Because you talk to people, the situation, the economic situation, the political situation is the same for everybody. So have the same approach with your clients as your leader should have with you, meaning be more patient with them because they're going through a lot of stress. And so make sure to have a better active listening, skills when you do it, when you do that during those time, because it's going to be important. It's going to be reflecting very positively for you. And if, like you said, if the worst case scenario happen, well, you will have all those people remember how you made them feel during the time of uncertainty. And who knows, like I have a lot of example in the past, in my past experience, where people had to leave because of situation like that, but end up with a past clients because of the way that they were handling situation. And then, so never burn your bridge. Always do the right thing for yourself, for the company, and you never know how things are going to shape up when you have situation like this happening.
Yeah, it's definitely those are moments to build resilience or grit. Or I suppose I can bring back my dad and some of his little sayings. So he used to have a saying because I would do some crazy stuff as a teenager, and I'd be like, "But dad," and he would get so angry with me, and I'm like, "But I learned from my mistakes. It's so how I'm going to learn." And he goes, "You know what?" And he goes, I will give you something. When you hit adversity, those are character building moments. He goes, that's why you're such a character. Love from pups.
I
Yeah.
I know. And like for people listening for a while to our podcast, that I used to play ball, back in Europe. And that's something that when I talk about those things, I remember time where you play for a team and you play a team that is so much better than you. And I already mentioned that in a Fanatic Friday, I think in beginning when we started back in October last year, but it's so true. The reason why you have upsets happening, it's not because people playing the top teams feel defeated from the start. It's because they believe.
Mm.
They believe that we know the game plan. The game plan has been set by the coaching staff during the week we train for that game. And when you get to that game, you have a belief factor and you trust that whatever you train will be happening during the game. No, you may still be outskilled, but you will, if you do the right thing, there is more chance than not, if you have a good coaching staff, that you're going to slow them down. And then who knows what's going to happen. In basketball, of course, shoot may not fall. That's why March Madness is amazing, because you have upset all the time. But it's all about the preparation and belief in the fact that by doing the right thing, you have more chance than not to create an upset.
Yeah.
And here, I think it's something we can put together with business, in the situation that we are today, and then we live with the results.
Yeah. No, totally agree. I came across a reel today that really it fits right in because it spoke totally about mindset. But I hope I do it justice here. Let me give me a shot. But he was talking about the difference between the top 5 tennis players in the world versus the ones that are in the top 25. And they did a study in Florida, actually, at a tennis academy. And
Bolitieri, probably.
what's that?
Bolitieri Academy, probably.
Maybe he didn't mention it. That I do remember. He just said a Florida Tennis Academy. But he said they did this study, and what they found with the top 5 players versus the ones in the top 25, the key difference was in the 10 to 15 seconds after every point. So they had stuff hooked up neurologically and whatever. And then they commented on it. But he said, even if the top players lost a point,
Forget about it.
they forget about, they were positive. They were like, no, okay, so I know I need to tweak that. They let it go, or they had this belief that that's okay. It's 1 point. I'm still going to persevere. And it wasn't that the other people in the top 25 didn't have those thoughts, but they didn't have those thoughts as frequent. And so it wasn't training, it wasn't diet, it wasn't coaching. It was the constant internal affirmation and I guess positive nature, I guess, of it. To think of, hey, it'll turn out all fine. And I'm just going to focus on the next point. And
Yeah,
was
I
like,
love
oh,
that.
that's good.
Again, it comes into the belief in the power of mindset, growth mindset, and things like that. We know a bunch of. I know we talk a lot about sport during this episode, but I think it's because it's an easy parallel between business and sport. When you are in adversity, you believe into what the mindset, the power of mindset has. Like we could talk about tennis. Kyrgios is known to be like a very eccentric player, like a player that a lot of fans love because it's his style. but why he has as much talent as all the top star, but he doesn't get there? It's because mentally he's absolutely weak. He's very weak mentally. Like he cannot let go at a mistake of a referee, or when he's not playing well during a game. And in tennis, you need to win 6 games per set, and he's bad in a game, and he's like throwing his racket, he's like yelling at the fan, yelling. He always finds an excuse, and then he's out of his game.
Mhm.
And that happens every single tournament. But quality-wise, he's one of the most talented tennis player ever played. Everybody said that. And I think that, again, it's mindset. You can work on that, but it's a lot harder, to find a way. If it's not coming from within, you can have the best coach. you will always have issue with that. So
Mhm.
I agree. To summarize, guys, is really like more about having the conviction, take more time to listen, um, stick with what you know, do the right thing, and the right thing will follow. It's very simplifies, but it's true.
Mhm.
So don't hesitate to actually do the right thing and get the answer that you need from your leaders, from your peers, from your partner. But do the right thing, even in uncertainty time, and it's gonna pay off more than that.
Yeah. And no, extremely well said. And I will use something that you normally said that you didn't say this time. So I'm going to say it because usually you say it when I miss it. Celebrate the small wins.
Oh,
Yeah. So especially during times of adversity, those little bit of intentional appreciation and recognition goes a long way. Because again, more often than not in life, it's the little things that make a difference. So
love it.
yeah. So there you have it, winners. And at the very least, if you can't remember all that, even though those were some great nuggets of knowledge, think of Mel Gibson and the flag and the Patriot charging the hill, planting the flag, say, come on. So be that person, be the light that shines the path to get people to navigate through the choppy waters. And with that, that'll wrap up today's Monday Mindset. Again, thanks to nickmenard.com and the 1% Push for sponsoring today's episode. Please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform, and send us a note if there's a topic you want us to discuss or some questions you have. We're happy to read them on air and address it. So until next time, winners, be well, and we'll chat again soon.
Bye, winners.